afternoon. This is Jim Pro with Jim Goss on our 2020 Western Corn Belt Tour. This is our third stop in Minnesota. Will be our last stop as we move a little farther east. We just kind of get into some rougher ground, not nearly as critical to the Minnesota crop. Let's start with Jackson County. That is in Minnesota. Now this was pretty interesting field. We rolled in there and the stand was only 22,338. Hail had really hit this crop at about V3, and it had stayed fairly wet, so I don't think they could get back in there to fix it. I mean, I don't think they would have left that stand as is. It's currently in the V6 stage. We talked to, and I'll tell you a little bit about this, we talked to a producer on the next stop that we were on his farm, and he said that hail strip was about 3/4 mile wide, ran about 35 miles there, kind of along just north of I-90, kind of at a slight angle. So, I mean, there was some serious hail that ran through here 2 or 3 weeks ago, and you obviously saw that earlier hail shot in Iowa. Now we jumped to Waseca County. Now this is this is a place we'd stopped multiple times. The stand was 36,985 in 20-inch rows, and we've been challenged a little bit about, well, how do you know these are good fields? Well, this farmer came out and wanted to kind of check and see what we were doing, and he said, hey, this is the best corn crop he's had in 5 years. So, and he was kind of like, well, I'm hoping somebody else has a problem, because my clients, he sells seed corn, have a really good looking crop here in Minnesota. So, you know, we did get some verification that what we were seeing was factually accurate. Now you got to remember, this is just one little strip that we're going through in Minnesota, so don't, you know, it is what it is. It's not a huge sample size, but it does give it gives you, the viewer, a view of this. Now we're in Dodge County, Minnesota. This field has got some water damage in it on all the low spots. Not awful, but there's some corn that's stressed because of earlier water. No water on this field today. They got about 6/10 of an inch of rain on Monday, kind of through here. This is 33,943 on the stand, V6. Pretty representative of what we've seen the last 30-40 miles. Corn looks pretty good. Beans are fairly small relative to what we've seen earlier in Iowa, but certainly just your normal water damage. This is a part of the state where we often see, if they've had bigger rains, we'll see some water damage. And we've seen some prevent plant up here in previous years. None of that this year. So once again, we want to thank our sponsors: Clover Ag, Risk Management, Consolidated Grain and Barge, AG Farm Management, of course, JP2 Risk Management. So we'll be finishing in Wisconsin tonight, this afternoon. So if we find something that we find interesting in eastern Minnesota, in parts of Wisconsin, we'll be sure to stop and kind of give you a little view of that. But tomorrow, back to Illinois, western Indiana, before heading back to Champaign. So thanks for checking in, and this has been Jim Pro with JP2 Risk Management.